the whole world of distribution is changing so dramatically. And, we were talking off air about this whole distributor thing and, and all the press that I've been getting and not only me, but all these thousands of filmmakers who have been hurt by, the downfall of this film aggregator, and how that many ways that the system is rigged against, especially at the low indie level, the system's rigged against the independent filmmakers as far as distribution is concerned. How do you see things going forward? I mean, we kind of touched upon it a little bit, but there is going to be a change. Look, Netflix came along and literally changed the entire industry. This little company that could have been purchased for $50 million by Blockbuster back in 2000 and I think 2 or 3. Right. And now it's worth $150 billion, and has changed not only the industry, but changed how we view our viewing habits, the concept of binging, the concept, right. It's changed the world. There's still going to be more changes coming, and I think they're going to come faster than we even anticipate. For independent films and for creators, what do you think the future is in distribution?
Well, it's the gold rush. Nobody knows where the veins are. No one knows how you're going to chisel them out.
That's great.
It's creative entrepreneurism, which I always call that process that you must spend as much effort selling your material to people as you use to create it. And I call it also building a bridge backwards, which is you can't anticipate that your buyer understands what you've got. If you make them make the effort of trying to categorize what you've got, you lose because you're doing something where they're too distracted and don't understand it. So I break selling down into 4 component elements, which I'm now going to give you my 2-minute lecture on how to sell.
Please.
First rule is identify your buyer, because no one buys from a stranger. Research them and then reach out to them and find compatibility, because you're not going to sell to someone unless they feel that you understand them a little bit. So you know that they were the people that did that particular movie that was successful, and you praise them genuinely. Everything is about authenticity, because people have a big bullshit detector. You can't, and you've got hustle on your forehead. You can't hustle people when they don't feel
it's a good
the
hustle.
Reality. Yes, there's a good hustle.
There's a good hustle and a bad hustle.
Passion. So anyway, so you research your buyer, you create a rapport with your buyer by meeting with them and talking about things that they value. Second one is demonstrate passion, because why should they care if you don't? So you take an idea, and I taught a couple of times at USC Film School, and I'd say, you can be almost inarticulate if you demonstrate passion, because the excitement is contagious. And if you have got something and it's cold-blooded and you don't really care and it's a marketing device, you're not going to get me believing that you're going to go through brick walls to achieve it. So by demonstrating passion, what you're doing is getting that this is the root stem of my belief systems, that I'm investing in this thing, and it's more likely to get people to support you. And when you're doing a movie with somebody, if it's a development deal, they're putting their job on the line a little bit with you. And so really a pitch is a chance to have a conversation with somebody, and not a chance to say, okay, I've got 2 minutes and I have to give you A to Z of a structure, because that's leaving them out. So then I use a demonstration. I say that my wife had a dream, and it was so scary she stayed up nights, and then she told me the dream. It seemed scary, it was keeping me up, but I decided to turn it into a movie, which is my passion statement. This is a totally illusory one, but it's helpful. And then I say that movie, which is what I call the goalposts, is sort of like halfway between The Exorcist and Alien. Now, the reason I use that term before I describe what the movie is that I've made a relationship with the buyer, I'm demonstrating passion, and I've told them that I'm going to show them what this movie is in terms of the things they need. Because selling a movie is really filling the need of the buyer, not your idea of getting them to buy you, but what you're trying to do is sell them that you provide a solution to their goals, which is, and I say this movie is halfway between The Exorcist and Alien. Now, what development exec wouldn't like to have one of those in there? And so what I've done is I put 2 goalposts up, and simplicity. I don't say it's halfway like The Exorcist, the Alien, and Game of Thrones, because you screw up there, remember. And so halfway between The Exorcist and the Alien, and then I give them my pitch, and I say, this movie is about a defrocked alcoholic priest who's taken to the moon by NASA because they've found the devil's bones up there, and people are becoming possessed.
Fantastic.
And I could sell that. And I just use it as a pitch module. But what I'm really trying to demonstrate is that people will send me scripts or ideas every day. I get dozens of emails, and I've got a movie that's a horror movie, and horror movies are selling. I have no interest in it. You don't know that I did Houdini, Moll Flanders, Robin Hood, and that I've got an interest in physicalizing historical characters, and that I'm interested in making altruistic heroes out of things. You have no idea who I am or what I'm. Right. And so, because you didn't research me, you're not going to touch my heart. And if you send me an email and you say, Moll Flanders, my wife and I cried when we saw that movie. We love seeing Houdini, which you did, and we wondered if this project would have an appeal to you. That changes the whole dynamic. And so I also see people trying to sell their work, and they'll say, oh, this sold in the movie theaters this weekend, and I got one just like it. And you go, oh my God. I bet you've already sent that out to hundreds of people, and why would I care?
Can we
nothing personal.
Yeah,
sure.
Can we? I just want to, for everyone listening right now, I want this to be put out there into the universe. I've said it before, but I want to say it one more time. If you're creating a pitch and you're making a horror movie, do not use Blair Witch Project and the Paranormal Activity as examples of how much money your movie can make. Is that a fair statement to say?
Well, it's a fair statement, because those are so extreme that they're unlikely to be taken seriously. But if you can find a couple of films that are really solid,
yes,
that have gone to great lengths into the market and have got a similarity of relationship, those two goalpost things, but also what you're looking at is the buyer is the most buyers don't want to do exactly the same thing twice. There's no stimulus. If you go to a director and you say, hey, you did the Blair Witch, well, I've got this other shaky camera movie about people.
But a witch.
Whereas if you take and you look at them very seriously and you study them a little bit and you say, I noticed you did this, this, and this. Would this challenge you? Would this be exciting? And you're really looking at the next stepping stone. And actors are also excited to get involved with things that challenge their skills. They like to be a little scared. And so if you go to, it's like going to Costner and saying, hey, you just did Robin Hood, would you like to do William Tell? He's going to say, no, not, you're out of mind. But when you like to play somebody investigating the John F. Kennedy death, yeah, because that's fascinating. Mm-hmm. And so your goal as the artist entrepreneur trying to sell your work is to try and see the buyers. And there's a lot of buyers out there. We normally need to have you come at us through an agent or a manager or a lawyer. Those are the three routes. But you can also go in through potentially a professor of school, USC, or somebody who would add their name to you as an advocate. Mm-hmm. And I suggest to people going after the actors or directors or producers with their own companies and avoid the studio, because they don't have a system to engage people like us, the more freebooters. But the directors or the actors, they have people looking every day for things that will stimulate their bosses. And so you don't look like you're coming from a pro forma place. You're coming from a place of discovery for them. And if you can do that, then you've got a good chance of breaking through the system and actually getting seen. But you've got to research your buyer. You've got to even make friends with the assistants. A lot of us forget that we're dealing with human beings, and it's human beings to human beings that will help you. And by taking the time in a meeting when you're going to meet the boss, take the time to say hello to the assistant, get their number, and phone them up afterwards and say, is there anything I could learn from what went down? And when would be a good time to talk to your boss? And you realize, again, assistants are on every phone call. They monitor the progress, and they also scuttlebutt with each other about what their studio is looking for, what their boss is looking for. And a lot of the time, the assistants in a structure are people trying to get up through the system just like you are. And by taking, again, honest interest in them and asking for their experience to help you get to your goals, you create friendship. And as they go to their levels of opportunity, and I've seen a director friend of mine end up being represented by the assistant to the agent he was with, and he was with a big agent who never had any time for him. And suddenly the assistant gets promoted to agent, and she's only got 3 clients. And so suddenly he's gone from being ignored to being someone that they're trying to push, and now she's the head of lit for a major agency. So again, this process of creative entrepreneurism is looking at opportunity and trying to find it, not being scared to look for ways to get yourself to the front. And I also believe there are systems for reinforcing yourself, such as, I call it story midwives, but there are safe people that you trust who will tell you the truth in a kind way. And you've got to expose your work to people there before you expose it to the Philistines, the naysayers, the difficult ones,
right,
because they can cross-check all the things so that you get it really right and can be reassured that when you go out to the other buyer, that you've got most of the questions answered, or you've got most of the material clear so that people understand it. And we call that asshole proofing. So we don't send a script out until it's really clear that we've got most of the objections and the things that are hard to understand out of it, because you don't get two reads. And if you put a year of your life into a script or longer, and you've got things that people didn't understand in it, it's like falling in the water off a stepping stone. You're going bing, 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 and then plump, and then you're wet for the rest of the script if the rest is read. Whereas if you fix those things, you've got a script that's solid, and your friends have reassured you that it makes sense, and then you put it out to the world. But you never put it out until you've got it, because all that effort deserves that kind of sense of value.